Be with you guys in just a couple minutes. Hey folks, how you doing? Oh, I think I just broke my bar. Sorry about that. So, it's me, and I'm glad you could come and hear my little story. Certainly you can ask questions, and I'll try to answer them live, best I can, but I can't make any promises. But we're going to give this a shot, okay? So I'm going to first talk, and then you can ask me questions afterwards, because right now the phone is too far away for me to really get at and read effectively, despite the fact that this is, wearing glasses. So there's a story before the story, and I feel like that story has to be told so that you can appreciate why this thing meant something to me. I'm going to preface this by saying a few things. Number one, this was not a meeting at a convention, because you can meet any celebrity in a convention these days. You plop down a couple bucks, you get in line, you get an autograph. That's a fine experience, and I'm not going to say that anybody's terrible for having an experience like that, because that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. You never know who you're going to run into at a con. This was not a convention. This was something else entirely. I got a phone call, an email, from a group that I belong to. It's called the 501st Legion, and we have the bad guy costumes, movie-accurate bad guy costumes from Star Wars. And we do a lot of charitable events throughout the year, or sometimes they're just fun events. The event was this particular thing was with Carrie Fisher, and what they wanted us to do was work the lines for the crowd, basically to entertain the crowd for about an hour or so, and then wear our civvies and get to watch the show. Not a bad deal if you can get it. By the way, this will be saved so you can watch it later. So if you can't watch it live, you'll certainly be able to watch it later. And then there's going to be a contest at the end. You definitely want to check out this contest. I'll advertise the contest later also. But because you're here now, you get to see one of the coolest contests really around, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. It's pretty damn cool. At least I think it's cool. Anyway, so we got called to do this gig, to help out with Carrie Fisher's show. It's a one-woman show, and it's called Wishful Drinking, and that's always, it's about her life, what's it like to be brought up by celebrities and all that stuff, and it also talked about addiction and her being bipolar and all that stuff, and I can see some people are, hi there. I'm going to answer all questions at the end, like I said, so when I'm done, I will say Q&A, and then you guys answer your questions, or ask your questions, and I'll try to answer them. This is a story, it's a fluff piece, but it's definitely not your typical story when meeting a celebrity, for sure. And I'm happy to tell it because, we miss Debbie, we miss Carrie, and, it looks like I have a shot right here, and this is for Debbie and Carrie, and for their families, okay? Ooh, that was really, really, really good. Straight vodka. Mildly chilled. So anyway, 501st Legion, we're being asked to do this event. 1 week before, we were asked to do another charitable event, and it was a very hot event. It was a Relay for Life, if memory serves, and I was sweating to the point where my black flight suit was tattooing itself on my body, almost literally. When I took off my flight suit, and that's something you never want to see, by the way. You never want to see me out of my flight suit. It's scary. I was purple, and it took a very long time to get all that purple stuff off. So I was sweating through it. It was hot. It was smelly. I had to hang it up, so I put my armor pieces in one part of my closet and hung it up. And in another closet, I hung up the flight suit and sprayed it with all sorts of motorcycle aerosol cleaning kits that guys use on racing suits and stuff like that. And so I had that hanging in a closet. It's important to remember this. 1 week later, it was time to do wishful drinking and work the audience, Carrie Fisher's audience. Everything that could go wrong that day did. Now, I have to tell you something, that day was my birthday. Yep, it happened on August 6th of, what year? I gotta look here, it's been a while. 2008, I should know that. I should probably have memorized that, right? But everything that could go wrong that day did. I got home from work, and the goal was to get in the car, put my, I have an armor bin, so all my Biker Stout Star Wars stuff goes into this big, huge 50-gallon Rubbermaid tub. Could you imagine the smell of that if my armor was in there? Oh, it would have been bad. Of course, my armor wasn't with me, and that was the problem. I rushed home. I got a phone call from a girl I was dating. She said she didn't want to date me anymore. On my birthday. Happy birthday, Paul. I'm better off, and that's why I'm able to laugh about it. It's not a big deal. Then I rushed, grabbed my armor bin, and threw it into my car and sped off. Now, I'm the event coordinator for the group, so it's good form for me to show up first. Well, that didn't happen. Traffic, this took place in Hartford, Connecticut, and at the time I was living in Bristol. Traffic was a nightmare getting to Hartford. The force was not with me this day. The exit that I needed to get off of, my GPS was saying, turn here, turn here. Couldn't turn there because the exit was closed. And not knowing Hartford as well as I probably should, spent quite a bit of time trying to find how to get into Hartford off an exit that did not directly bring me to the theater that I needed to go to. So I'm freaking out, absolutely going crazy. I finally managed to get there, and I was definitely late, maybe 20 minutes late, maybe 30 minutes late. Someone I'm sure will correct me on this. And as I pull in, I grab my armor bin, I run into the theater, which was at the Hartford Stage, by the way. Great, great theater. Definitely you want to check this out if you've never been there before. A lot of great shows. And I'm flipping out. I open up my armor bin, and there's nothing in it. Why? Because the week before I hung up all my armor to dry out and aerosol it and get it all sweet smelling, and none of it was in my damn bin, except for a pair of white boots and a little pistol and a helmet. I was going crazy. I spent all this time preparing the event for my group and for Carrie's people that I didn't get a chance to wear my own costume. Good buddy of mine, Steve Neitz, says, "Hey Paul, I think I can help you out." Steve Neitz is roughly my build. He's about 5'9" and nearly 6 feet. And but he's much, much, much thinner than me. And he had a Imperial Gunner outfit, the clamshell, the black thing. Commence primary ignition, all that stuff, right? So, he says, you could try to squeeze your butt into that. Now, let me tell you, I had to squeeze my butt literally into that suit because he is about 160 pounds soaking wet, where at that time I was about 205 pounds. So I looked ridiculous. But I did manage to run out and get to work those lines. I promise I'll answer your questions at the end, absolutely positively. But I will do that in a little bit. So I'm wearing someone else's costume, freaking out. And as I'm freaking out and slowly calming down, because at least I'm there, at least I have something on, and at least I'm somewhat presentable, I look over my shoulder, as does my good friend Gary Mannion and Rob Rack, also members of the Star Wars 501st Club. By the way, free plug, 501st.com. And if you want to talk to the guys in Connecticut that wear this Star Wars armor, consquad.com. Check them out. Good people. Do good things. Anyway, as I look over my shoulder, I see Debbie Reynolds. It's Carrie Fisher's mom. Debbie Reynolds is, she's been in over 50 films from Once Upon a Time. Real song and dance kind of gal. And there she was, this tiny, diminutive little person. And I notice it, and Rob Rack notices it, and Gary notices it. We said, we should try to get together and see if we can get a picture of her. Now, mind you, this was not planned. We had no idea her mother was going to be there. But she was, and we took a great picture, and I'll share it with you guys later at the end of the broadcast so you can see it. It was really something. Now, if I backtrack a little bit, everything I'm doing is backtracking, right? This is a crazy story, but I want to tell it because a lot of people have been writing in and asking me, what happened? So I'm trying to get there. And thank you for liking this, and hi there. So what ended up happening was we met Debbie Reynolds, and she was great. She was a very gracious woman. There aren't many women like this anymore that are truly gracious and just pleasant to be around. We were nothing to her. She could have just told us to piss off, but she didn't because she's got class. And we love this about her. And so we got her a nice picture. And again, I'll share it with you later. After the picture, I'm like, oh my God, we're going to go see Carrie Fisher doing her show. And I'd read about it and heard about it and researched it a little bit online. And, I've been a fan of Carrie Fisher since the first time I saw the films, which was in 1978. I saw it the year after Star Wars came out. And when I saw it, I was just absolutely in love. I wrote her a love letter. It was very good, ran for a 5-year-old. And I don't know if it was actually sent or not, but my mom will have to weigh in on that. Mom? Anyway, so I'm thinking to myself, like, this is crazy. We're going to go see her do her show, and will we meet her? How will that play out? And, you start going into the thought bubble and like, what might happen? And I thought, best case scenario, and this is a hell of a good case, by the way, that maybe she would take a picture with us and maybe she would give me a kiss on my helmeted cheek. I thought that might happen, but if it didn't happen, it was no big deal. I was just honored to be there. Hi there. Keep watching, because there's a contest at the end, and I'll answer whatever silly questions you have. So, how is that going to play out? Are we going to meet Carrie Fisher? Would I get a kiss on the helmeted cheek? Would we even get a photo op? Would we get anything? Because there's no guarantees. What we did get were tickets to see the show. We had nice seats too, by the way. So I'd like to thank our producers and production company because they were really, really great to us. Food, drink, everything I asked for our group, meaning the 501st, we got. And, it's about 5 minutes to showtime. Carrie's nowhere to be found, and then I inquired. She's backstage. She can't come meet us. Absolutely wasn't going to happen. I said, okay, she can't meet us right now. Fine. And so I thought, that's okay. I'm just happy to be here, grateful for the moment, grateful for the situation. And I just met Debbie Reynolds. There's nothing wrong with that at all, so that's pretty cool, right? And that was completely random and unplanned. So, we go back into our dressing room. We're gearing out. I was happy to be in clothes that actually fit me. No offense, Steve Neitz. I'm so happy you lent me that costume. Very much so. I just have about 40 pounds on you, minimum. But anyway, so we're back in our civilian clothes, and now we're just going to go into the theater like everybody else and go enjoy the show. And that was it. That's all I thought about. The show's going on, and it's wonderful. She had this rear projected back screen, if you haven't seen it. And it starts off with her singing Happy Days Are Here Again. And projected on the screen were, like her birth announcement in a newspaper. Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds have baby, and that's on the screen. And it's huge, it's larger than life, and things like that, like little news things. And she becomes a, song and dance girl, and she becomes an actress, and she goes to school. She gets Star Wars offers. All that's happening on the back screen as she's singing Happy Days Are Here Again. I'm sorry, I'm going to read that real quick. Yeah, well, you know what happened. I'll answer questions later and comment. So, I figure, great, hey, the show's starting, yay! And she's doing her thing, and she's talking about what it's like to be a celebrity kid, and all those things, and bipolar disorder, which she's very open about. Talked about drugs a bit. And then she started talking about Star Wars. Now, Star Wars, I mean, she did films before Star Wars, but Star Wars solidified her. She did Star Wars when she was 19, if memory serves. So, she's pretty young. No one knew that was going to be a big film. Of course, it became one of the biggest films of all time, etc. You know the rest of that story. So, she's talking about all that, and then she starts talking about Star Wars merchandise. And things are flashing up on the screen behind her, like, Princess Leia Pez dispenser, or soap on a rope, and all this other stuff. And she says, but you really haven't made it until this happens. And it was an ad on eBay, and it said, Princess Leia sex doll. Now, I was supposed to say Princess Leia sexy doll. It was a life-size thing, is about 5 foot nothing, and it was like a maquette. It looked like almost like Japanese animation version of Carrie Fisher as a kind of a maquette or a statue. But it said sex doll, and that's hilarious. So on stage is Carrie Fisher with a Princess Leia wig, cinnamon buns, and there's the sex doll. And she says, if anybody can get their testosterone together and come up on stage and make the sex doll work, that'd be great. She said that she couldn't make it work. So my legs started to move me towards the stage. I think I got probably a little encouragement from Gary Mannion, but I absolutely went on my own will, and I went up on stage, and it was weird. Now, you have to understand that there's probably about 1,000 people in the audience, and I am just Paul Starybrat. I'm nobody, I'm nothing special, but there I am on stage with her. And I could only think of one thing. I thought a few things. I take that back. Number one, whoa, whoa, whoa. Words weren't working in my brain. All I thought was, whoa. This is really the only time I've ever been starstruck. And not that I've met a bunch of celebrities, but I've met some, again, all these cons that you end up going to. And so after the whoa phase, I looked at her and I said, it's my birthday. And the funny thing is, it really was my birthday. So, August 6, 2008, it was my birthday. Suddenly my day was getting better. The crap day that I had of, where's my armor, can't get off this road, losing a girlfriend, suddenly things are looking up. But it's like it's not even really happening to me. It was very strange. And truly. And as I'm saying, it's my birthday, she goes, it is? And, she has to look up at me because I'm much taller than she is. And I say, yeah. And then she sort of, this is going to sound so stupid. And my imagination probably got the best of me here, so I apologize. But I swore this happened. I want everybody, whoever watched The Empire Strikes Back, to raise your hand, right? A million times, a lot of people say that was the best one, right? Whether or not it is, we'll argue about that later in the Q&A. There's a scene. Luke gets his hand chopped off because Darth Vader did it and says, I'm your father. And Luke goes, oh, down the thing. And as Luke is going, ah, clunk, he's upside down, hanging upside down on what looks like a very cheap TV antenna, probably made by the Tandy Corporation. Now, I guess they don't make things like they used to, not even on Cloud City. And he's hanging upside down, right? Now, meanwhile, the Millennium Falcon is storming off with Leia and Chewbacca and Lando Calrissian. Luke closes his eyes, reaches out with the Force, and says, Leia. And Carrie Fisher did this. Luke. So, she looks blank. Do you remember that blank but lost look that Carrie Fisher had with those dark, dark eyes? Those were the eyes that looking right back at me. And I was a little kid again, It was crazy. I think I was about 9 years old. And I just remember going like, whoa, look at her eyes, and now I'm looking down at her, whoa. And it's the same eyes looking back at me. Obviously, she aged a little bit, but so did I. And I just remember thinking, and I think I said, it's my birthday. Carrie says, well, happy birthday, and perhaps, you could help me with the outro of Act 1, and so to get to intermission. And I said, oh, okay. I mean, like, I just went from being in a complete daze to read this, and it said something like, "Hi there, I, Paul Starybrat, will be in the lobby for the next 15 to 20 minutes signing autographs. May the intermission be with you always." Then something happened that changed my life, I suppose. She reached up and pulled me down on top of her and laid me out. Now, Gary Mannion said, "Paul, your leg was shaking." I was nervous. So I'm on top of Carrie Fisher. She pulled me on top of her. It was nuts. And my brain, it was a total fog. Had no idea what the hell was going on. Hi there. I'll answer your questions. I promise you guys will do a little Q&A, and you can recall the whole thing with me for those that were there. And those that weren't there, you can ask me about it, whatever. I'm happy to do it. So I'm on top of Carrie Fisher. Horizontal, man. And my brain was complete. I think I passed out. I don't know what happened. I just remember not knowing what the hell was going on. And then my mind woke up and said, "Paul, you're on top of a woman." Then I knew what to do. So, I'm like, all right, I'm on top of Carrie Fisher. Cool, and hey, no sooner does the thought enter my mind, she springs up with the enthusiasm of a 15-year-old, grabs my arm, and drags me off the stage. Lights out on stage. At this point, Gary Mannion he took video of all this, which some of you may have seen, and later you can watch it. I'll post the link up again for the video. And there was a light cast. And so I'm backstage, and she goes, "Oh my God, that was so fun." And I said, "Yeah, that was great fun." And she says, "Can I take a picture with you?" She looks up at me. "Can I take a picture with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then my brain kicks in again. "Could I get a copy of that picture? Because nobody's going to believe any of this." And again, I didn't know that Gary Mannion was shooting all this in the back. Thank you for that, Gary, by the way. Thank you. And so her stage manager comes out and says, "Yeah, give me your email address, dude, and I'll get you that picture." And I said, "All right, great." So we did a couple pictures. And I was like, "I sent you a love letter when I was 5. She goes, "Did I write back?" My mind really wasn't working. It normally doesn't work anyway, but it really, really wasn't working. It was crazy. She gave me a big smooch, grabbed my ass, smacked it, and said, "I'm going to return you to your generation. Happy birthday, Paul." And I just went, doo. I think I walked, or floated, back onto the apron of the stage. And as I'm looking out, everybody's sort of mulling about. There was a line of people, guys, with their hands out. They wanted me to high-five them. So I did. I don't know. I don't remember actually walking. I truly think I was floating. It was really weird. And I know it's something you might think I'm hamming this up, but truly it was bizarre and strange and odd and kind of awesome too. And as I'm high-fiving people, and I get back up to my row where the CTG are, the 501st, they're all chattering it up and wow and hey and cool. And Carrie's like, "Paul, I got this in HD." I said, "Oh man." I said, "I want this." At the time, I used to make a lot of podcasts for the group. I made about, 20 of them or something like that, which can be seen on their YouTube channel. And I think it's still up there. I'm no longer in charge of any of that stuff. But I was like, "I want that picture. I want everything you have, and we're going to use it." And I said, "Oh, I should probably ask, her management if that's okay." And all this stuff. And he shows me a picture that flipped me out. He was flipping. I said, "I got to show you this picture. I got to show you this picture." I said, "All right, show me the picture." And it's a picture of me and Carrie. But here's the thing. We're backstage. There's a curtain down. But the light's still beaming, and you can actually see our silhouettes, our shadows. Now, what makes this unbelievably crazy is that she, during the picture, she was standing about here looking out at the camera, and I'm looking at the camera. The silhouette, it made it look like I was Darth Vader. The way the light was hitting me and how it was cast behind me on the curtain, I tower over Carrie Fisher anyway. I mean, Dave Prowse really does. But it elongated my head in such a way that it looked like I was wearing a Darth Vader helmet. Craziest picture, not photoshopped at all, flipped me out. Certainly flipped Gary out. He couldn't stop showing me. After a bunch of high fives, and that was crazy, and I don't even know what just really happened, I sat down, and the show continued. Because intermission was up. I wish I could say the story stops there, but it doesn't. The show goes on, and she talks about how she had an on and off relationship with singer-songwriter Paul Simon, from Simon and Garfunkel, of course. And I guess they were married for about a year in about 1983, if memory serves. And she talks about that. And he wrote a song and even makes sort of mention of her with her dark brown coffee eyes and all that. And she's retelling that Paul Simon story, and she pauses for a second. And I was just like, my brain just started working like, oh my God, I just made up with Carrie Fisher twice. Once on stage, once backstage. She grabbed my ass, she smacked it. It all just hit me, you know? And so I shout out during this lull, I say, thanks, Carrie! And she goes, oh, Paul, come back up on stage. Huh? Why? You know, I all these questions, but my legs started to move. So I went up on stage. And I get up on stage. And she had changed her attire. I think she was wearing some sort of evening-ish retirement kind of robe of sorts, bathrobe and stuff. And she's on stage, and I'm on stage with her, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing up here? That's what I'm thinking in my head. My face probably said, hi, Carrie. Hello. How are you? Hi. I don't know what was actually happening, but it happened. And so I'm up on stage, and she goes, I have something for you. And she gave me, I don't know if you can see this very well, she gave me this. I'll give you a close-up. Hopefully there won't be too much glare. These are her fishnet stockings. She gave me her fishnet stockings and autographed the back and says, happy birthday, Paul. We'll always have Hartford. Love, Carrie Fisher. And we got the nice little picture there. And there's the ticket. Of course, the ticket. We'll explain the ticket and the date and why the date appears to be wrong. Because, unfortunately, well, there's more. So she gives me her fishnet stockings, smacks my ass, says, happy birthday, sends me back off, and once again I float off the stage back into the audience and continue to watch the rest of the show. And it was very hard to concentrate. It was weird. I was definitely starstruck. I had a crush on her since I was 5, and here I was about 35. It was really something. But the story doesn't end there. No. When I left the theater, well, first we had to gear down. You know, we had to get all our stuff, our bins, and put them in our cars. And usually after an event, we'll get a drink or 2 or 20. That's what the CTG sometimes does. And I got asked out by about 5 different girls that night, which was crazy. I might have been asked out by a guy, too. I'm not really sure. But I did. It was pretty weird, and I never did call any of them because, you know, I just broke up with a girl, and now this whole Carrie Fisher thing happened, and it was very weird. But being who I am, the moment comes in, you experience the moment, and you move forward with your life, you know. And so I did. The next day, I think I got an email or a private message or a phone call from a guy named Stephen Neitz. He was portraying Boba Fett when we were working the lines before the show to warm up warm them all up. Well, Boba Fett has that big, huge backpack, and it has like a rocket on it and all that stuff. Well, he sent me a message and said, "Hey, Paul, I left my rocket in the dressing room. You think you could go back and get it?" And I remember thinking, like, how funny that was. Like, I left my rocket in the dressing room. What does that possibly mean? Good one, Steve. But I was happy to do it. So I called the theater, and I got their answering machine, because people still used answering machines and actually used tethered phones, from the wall jack and all that. And I called and I said, "Hi there, this is Paul Starybrat from the 501st Connecticut Garrison. I hope you're doing well. My friend Boba Fett left his rocket in your dressing room. If you could verify that it's still there and give me a call back, I'll come and pick it up at your best, whenever we can do it." Hi, Richard. How you doing? I'll do a Q&A at the end of this thing, and you guys can certainly ask all your questions, and if you have any, and you can certainly replay this whole thing. It's been fun, and it's really cool to see people watching this, and I just hope this story makes people feel better and gives them something to smile about. I guess I mourn the dead, but I also really like to celebrate their life, and I don't know how any other way to do that other than recall this crazy tale. Anyway, so I leave the phone message saying, "Boba Fett's my good friend and left his rocket in your dressing room. Give me a call if you have it, and then I'll come and pick it up." And I hang up the phone, and it occurred to me, what if they call me while I'm at work? I didn't leave them my work number because I worked in a residential sort of facility. That would be unprofessional for them to call, and it could get all messy and stuff, and HIPAA and all that stuff. So, I figure I should probably leave a voice message on my answering machine to sort of, like, if it's them calling, please do this and this and this. So I went and I said, okay, I got an answering machine message. It's something like, "Hi there, you've reached Paul Starybrat at blah, 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 blah. Please leave your name and number after the sound of the tone. If you are the Hartford stage, please leave a detailed message, and I will pick up Boba Fett's rocket. And if you're Carrie Fisher, Carrie, I had a great night, and I hope to do it again really soon." A day and a half later, I get a phone call, and it's the Hartford stage. And they said, "Yeah, we have Boba Fett's rocket. You could certainly pick it up. Carrie has a ticket for you. She wants you to come to the show again." And I said, "Oh, man." So I went. And I go to the show, and this time I'm ridiculously early because I hate being late. And I always feel I have to make up for it somehow. So, instead of being late, I'll be excruciatingly early. I was very, very, very early. The theater wasn't even open yet. I don't know why I did that. I'm an idiot. This was about 10 days later. I think it was the 16th that this happened on. Let me check. I can tell you. That's what this has to do with. Yes, August 16th. So 10 days later. So she had a 10-day run at this theater. Carrie did. And I go to the folks there, and I pick up the rocket, and they said, "Here are your tickets." And so I went to see the show, or so I thought. See, it didn't really quite happen like that. As I'm ridiculously early and can't open the door because the damn place isn't open, I'm wandering around Hartford aimlessly. It was a Saturday, I believe, and the streets were dead. There is nothing, Saturday on Hartford is not a big deal anymore. Hi guys, I'll do a Q&A at the end of this, I promise. And there's a contest that you absolutely want to participate. If you're a Star Wars fan, man, this contest is really, really, really great. And I'm so happy to offer it. We'll get there, I promise. Soon. Anyway. So I'm wandering the streets, and I'm just kind of, like walking in the middle of the street. There's nothing to do. And I'm like, maybe there's a bar I could go to or something. Hartford isn't what it used to be. And as I'm walking down the street, I see a diminutive person wearing lots of black and this huge scarf And next to that diminutive person is a very tall person with a little ponytail. Man, it's Carrie Fisher and her brother Todd. And I just went like, holy cow, they're right there. I can see them. They're right next to me. Practically, well, maybe not next to me exactly, maybe 10, 15 yards away across the street. And I remember thinking, should I say hi? Would that be weird? I mean, we made out twice. Once on stage, once backstage. You can judge. It's okay. I'm fine with it. And I'm thinking, like, should I say hello? Would it be rude for me not to say hello? Would it be awkward if I said hello? Would she even remember me? That was the last question I had. Would she remember me? And I just figured, no. There's no way she's going to remember me. Because, she gets the electroshock therapy, and I'm nobody, right? I'm just Paul. I don't do anything. I'm not special, right? And so I'm like, shrug my shoulders, do an about face, and I walk towards the bar. And I hear, hey, Paul, aren't you going to say hi? It's Carrie. And I said, I'm sorry. I ran over, I shook her hand, and I said, well, I didn't know if I was supposed to hug her, and I don't know what I'm doing. It was crazy. And I was like, I didn't think you remember me, so I thought I shouldn't say hello. She's like, it's fine. I'm hanging out with my brother. I hope you enjoy the show. So I'm in the bar, it was kind of weird, a little crazy. And have a drink or two, or 20, I'm sure. Especially back then, I could drink a bit more than I can now. It was nuts, man, nuts. And then I went to the show, picked up Boba Fett's rocket, so I could return it to my good buddy, and went into the show. It was crazy, It was absolutely a crazy, weird, bizarre, hilarious, fun story. I'll never forget it. So, Carrie, thank you. Debbie Reynolds, thank you. It was an honor, and I hope you're in a better place now. You've touched the fans over many, many generations. Well, like 3 or 4 generations. But that's a lot. And you made a lot of people smile and a lot of people really, really happy. So thank you for that. With that, I will get myself another shot. Because it's the right thing to do. I'm Paul, right? That's what I do. I should probably get like a real shot glass instead of using that sugar. I just knocked down 17 cups. You didn't see or hear that, though, so it doesn't count. Or did, or maybe it does count. Anyway, Carrie, Debbie, family, loved ones, thank you so much. I might do more of that in a minute. It was a lot of fun meeting them. Another funny thing that happened was, after the first show, the Hartford Courant did a piece on it. I don't know if it's still up there, but you might look it up. I think I saved it. But it talks about her show and this and that. And then there was, people could respond, and put a little message or whatever. And I think someone thought that I was a plant in the audience. They thought that that was a whole planned thing. Let me tell you, there was nothing planned about that day. It went from being the worst day to the best day. Had that been planned, it would not have been a great day. It would have been Paul acting. And as you know, when you watch Paul's Pub, Paul's not a very good actor. Pretty much crap actor. So, contest, then Q&A. Now, I have something that you Star Wars fans might want. Who here, by a show of hands, has seen The Force Awakens? Go ahead, you can now respond. Force Awakens, anybody see it here? Did anybody like it? I see it. Okay, there's a thumbs up there. A couple of them, thank you. All right. So Force Awakens was a pretty good Star Wars movie, right? And we got to see Han and Leia. Guess what? We are going to see her in the next film, by the way. That thing wrapped. She finished it. So she will absolutely positively be in Episode 8. So that's cool. So anyway, it turns out that the world is bizarre and small and weird and wonderful. Weird and crazy shit happens to me, and that story proves it. Now something weird and crazy can happen to you. Okay? Turns out that one of the members of the 501st CTG played Anakin Skywalker, a.k.a. Darth Vader before the burns and armor and all that stuff. This guy, Brian Morton, is a friend, honored and all. He looks so much like Hayden Christensen that you want to punch him in the face and say, "Why did you not act?" But it's not actually Hayden Christensen, it's Brian Morton. And we love the guy. Brian works out, he looks like him, he moves like him. It's really something. Brian had a dream. He wanted to be an artist. And he wanted to draw Star Wars stuff. He loved Star Wars, just like everybody else in the Legion. Just like you at home watching this right now, probably. Brian goes to California and gets a job with Topps, the baseball card company. And he starts making the B-side artwork for the Clone Wars cartoon. Pretty freaking cool. So if you have some of the Clone Wars trading cards from Topps, Brian designed the back of a lot of those things. Pretty cool, right? Brian, being who he is, good artist, talented, I would imagine pretty good at networking, goes and works for a company and starts doing artwork for them. Do you know what they do? Do you know what Brian Morton does now? He makes movie posters. That's right. Brian Morton, my friend, makes movie posters. You know which movie poster he made? Do you know which one? I can't hear you, so you're going to have to scream really loud or type it in. Oh, that's right. He made the Force Awakens movie poster. My pal. So I have something for you. Hold that thought. For you, I have something that you might really, really like. You know me, I like my contests. And you know what I have for you to win? The Force Awakens movie poster, autographed by its creator, Brian Morton. See that autograph right there? My buddy did this. He's in the big leagues. He's doing cool stuff. And you can win this. And you want to know how, don't you? Because, you know, it says Brian Morton, the Force is calling to you. Calling to you, not Brian Morton, because he clearly has the Force, because he's now making shit like this, which is really, really cool. Right? So you want to win this contest, yes or no? Give me a thumbs up if you want to win. That's what I thought. So, how do you win this poster? Really easy. Send me a private message right now that says, I want to win this poster. Now, better yet, I want to win the Force Awakens poster. There you are. There are the people. They're all waking up now and because there's a 10-second delay, and that's cool. You want to win this poster? I want to give it to you. You're going to send me a PM. Go ahead, hit it. Boop. I want to win the Force Awakens poster. I will then take all those names. I'll put it in my randometer. It will choose a winner, and then I'll contact you, get your contact information, and send you this really, really great poster. What I love about this poster is it really captures the old style of movie posters. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a bunch of photographs like they do today. This is beautiful looking. Absolutely beautiful looking. You can see, look at the baddie. Look at him. His head's as big as mine. It's incredible. Well, like I said, it's a prize and I want you to have it. All you have to do is PM me right now and say, I want the Force Awakens poster. Do that, and I'll put you in the drawing, and in about a week, I'll let you know who wins. Now, this is a funny way to announce a contest. I'm glad that you love it. Thank you. I'm glad that people are going to do this and stuff. I'm going to up the ante, but I can't tell you how right now, because I'm going to make a separate little promo for the poster, which is right there. I really hope I don't drop anything on it. So what I'm going to do right now, if you want, is a little Q&A, which means I have to move really close to you so I can read the screen, because unlike my last live show, I'm not monitoring this on a big, huge screen. By the way, last show, real quick, the live one, you know, I wasn't well. I had kidney stones. I didn't know I had kidney stones. I was in a lot of pain, and that's why I ducked out. I apologize. The guys that were here were awesome, and they were great, and they really tried to do their best. I didn't even tell them what was happening to me until much later, because I didn't know what was happening to me. So anyway, I'm fine. You want this poster? You want to do a Q&A? You got one. I'm going to move over here and shimmy stuff a little bit, and you can ask me your really great question, or you can ask me a really dumb question. I mean, you watch Paul's Pub. How bad can it be? That's a little weird, right? I'm going to move it this way. And... Ow, I just got a Charlie horse. Ow! All right, ask your question. Go. Make a question. Ask. Anybody? Bueller? These are really, really bright lights, by the way. I came up with this new way of doing lighting, and it's almost too much. So, questions for Paul? You think about a question. I'm going to be here for a few minutes. Okay? I'm going to have a drink. Eric, was that my favorite troop? And bananas for the Charlie horse. I'm not going to rub a banana on my leg, because that's fucked up. Was that my favorite troop? It was certainly one of my most memorable troops. For obvious reasons. But I don't know if it was my favorite. You have to understand that it was very stressful. Conversation started. Jesus, a lot of comments. Thank you for the comments. I'm answering all those things now, but I can't scroll, so you have to ask those questions right now. So, Eric, the short version is, I don't know if it was certainly my most memorable troop. I don't know if it's my favorite, because everything leading up to that gig sucked. It was so bad for me. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible day. How tall is Carrie Fisher? She's way shorter than me. I towered over her, like I said in the story. I mean, I look like Darth Vader over her, so I think she's only about 5'1", I think. Her mom was quite tiny, too, so she comes from small stock. So what did you do with the doll? You know what? I kind of didn't say that part of the story, right? So as I'm going on stage to make the sex doll work, first, when it appeared on stage, it was lowered. Okay, from a what they call a fly, which is like a big boom, okay? So cable was attached to it. I walked up to the sex doll, you know, and she says, put all your testosterone into it, Paul. And so I walked up to it, and as I'm walking to it, it flew away. It just went, and I thought, what's going on? I thought that's why I was on stage. Everybody starts laughing. And it was pretty funny that the thing flew away. No doubt, it was funny. But that's not why they were laughing. They were laughing because there was something, and I turned around and it hit my head. It wasn't hard or anything. And it was a Princess Leia wig. So she put the Princess Leia wig on top of me, and I'll show you pictures. I'll share those pictures at the end of the broadcast. So the doll flew away. So I never got to use the Princess Leia sex doll. But I can assure you that if I had used it, I would have worn that thing out. So I was on stage wearing cinnamon bun wigs with her. She managed to grab the thing and plop it on my head, which was really amazing, considering she's so short. I had to kind of bend down, I think, for her to put that on there. So, that happened. We didn't put that in the video because we didn't want the video to be very, very long. So that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. So the Princess Leia sex doll, I didn't do anything with it. It flew away from me. Maybe it had performance anxiety. You know, they make drugs for that now. Not that I would know anything about that, but yeah. So that's what happened. What's my favorite Star Wars episode? Just generally speaking, I think a lot of people say The Empire Strikes Back is the best. It definitely has the most drama, and so people are drawn to drama. You know, your life probably has shit tons of it, and you're trying to get rid of it. That's proof. People love drama. I would say that A New Hope, which is episode 4, which is the first one that ever came out back in '77, was probably my favorite, and I'll tell you why. It's a complete movie. You can watch it and be satisfied with from the beginning to the end. When there's action, it's great. When there isn't, it's still pretty great. And the ending was a nice, neat ending. There was no guarantee there was going to be another Star Wars. Remember, back then, he didn't know if the film was even going to be a success. So I like that film a lot. It's just a complete movie. It has all the classic bits of literature in there, like the passing of the talisman and the old witch's hat, so to speak. And it had drama, it has action. The action really tells the story, and so that, I think, for a guy, resonates in a guy. So that would definitely be my favorite Star Wars episode. I really like Empire. When I was a kid and Return of the Jedi came out, I was 11, and I remember thinking, it was like an end of an era. But we all hoped there would be more films, and sure enough, there were, rightly or wrongly. So that's a great question. Great question. Give me another question. I'm going to get a drink. You come up with a question right now. Go. Has to be related to this whole Star Wars thing. I don't usually talk about Star Wars very much these days, but I have now something to sober me up slightly. If you could costume any character other than a biker scout, what would it be at this point in my life? Well, I'll tell you. I'm glad you asked that. I'm going to turn this around a little bit so we get really tight. All right? At this point in my life, I want to be Jabba the Hutt. I've gained a shit ton of weight, so there you go. It would be a hard build, but I totally could wear that costume and pull it off. Did she mention of you during the second? Did she make mention of me? Okay, so question is, did Carrie Fisher make mention of me during the second show? And have you seen Rogue One? Is another question. Yes, I saw Rogue One. That answers that question. You can ask me what I thought of it later. But I saw Rogue One, of course. Did she make mention of me in the second show? No. What happened was we did converse for a half a second during the second show because I had seen the show and I knew how the show was going. I think I blurted something out. They said, that you don't wear bras in space. You know what you wear in space? And I said, gaffer tape, because that's what she had to wear to tie down her boobs. Because in space they might jiggle a lot because of the gravity differences. I would like to go to space just to see that, actually. That sounds pretty good. So all you big-breasted women, let's go call up Richard Branson, take a rocket ride, and see what boobs do in space. And the fat-bottom girls, too, because they make the rock and world go round. So I shouted that out. She goes, hey, you've already seen the show. And that was the end of that. Heard mixed reviews about Rogue One. What are my thoughts about Rogue One? My thoughts are not very popular. So, I don't know if I should go on about that. I think it has a lot of stuff for a lot of people. The action is there. I have to say the last 30 minutes of that movie are dynamite. Dynamite ending to that movie. But you don't really get to know the characters. The movie's not about the characters. The movie's about the cause. And the cause is the rebellion trying to get the plans of the Death Star. So you don't get to really know the characters very much outside of the lead female. And even that, you don't get to know a lot about it. It was really like watching a movie like The Dirty Dozen in space. It wasn't about the characters. It's about their mission and what they're trying to do. And they would stop at nothing to accomplish the mission. So if that's your kind of picture, then you're going to really like it. The action's fantastic in it. So I hope that that answers it. It does jive pretty well with Episode 4. Of course, there were a lot of reshoots because they thought the mood wasn't captured. My favorite scene is the Vader scene, definitely. And a lot of people really love that Vader scene that are fans of Star Wars because, we've seen him go ape on, like he'll force choke somebody, right? We see him kind of fence with Luke and Obi-Wan, but we never see him go and really do his thing. This movie, you get to see him do his thing. And although it's a small role, it's great, and it leads directly into Episode 4, A New Hope. So I hope that answers that question. Any other questions? There's a few of you out there watching. I'll take a couple more if you have them. I'm just drinking because, I'm thirsty and it's hot under these lights. I apologize for this. You'd think I was on Tatooine, the light's so bright. You know, it's wild. I don't know. Questions, thoughts, comments, contest? Hope you're going to do it. I'll ship that thing anywhere, so you definitely want to do that contest. Again, this poster of The Force Awakens, this could be yours. It's autographed by the artist. What's my other favorite Carrie movie? You mean there are other Carrie Fisher movies? You know, a lot of the movies she did after Star Wars, and before Star Wars, a lot of her roles weren't that big. I loved her, absolutely loved her in, sorry, just looking at comments. I really liked her in The Blues Brothers. She plays Jake, his girlfriend. You know, he went to prison, and you know, she really hated him, and she was trying to kill him. And every time she made an appearance, she had a bigger, better weapon, which was really, really cool. So I really loved her in that, and she somehow was adorable. That bit where he takes his sunglasses and kind of does that and plants a big kiss on her, and you think they have this really great moment, and then he just pretty much drops her. That was hilarious. You know, Harry Met Sally, Under the Rainbow. Those are ones that kind of stand out to me. I remember her in Drop Dead Fred, and I was very, very, you know, I had such high hopes for that movie, and it just didn't deliver the way I hoped it would, because one of my favorite actors is in there from The Young Ones, and then who later went on to Bad News, and he also died within the last year or two. So anyway, but yeah, it was, I would say, The Blues Brothers. Even though it's a brief role, it's so funny, and that moment, Jake, you know. Anyway, a lot of fun. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll stay around for like one more minute. Again, if you want to get that Force Awakens poster that's autographed by the very guy that created it, just send me a PM. I want the Force Awakens poster. And then I'll put it in my randomizer, and we'll come up with a winner. Another drink, Paul? Why not? We'll announce a winner in about a week or so, okay? It's been great. It was nice to share the story. I hope you guys, you know, 2016, I just want to say this one last thing. Everyone in social networking is saying, fuck 2016. They can't wait for it to be over. You know, Carrie dies. Debbie Reynolds dies. A slew of great musicians like George Michael and Cheersdale. All these great people that we look up to died. And it's awful, you know. And it is. But we're getting older. And that's what happens. And it's awful. You know, you can mourn the dead, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I celebrate and just remember all the cool stuff, you know. I'm grateful that Carrie Fisher was in Star Wars, and that I got to meet her, and all that crazy stuff that you just heard about. And, you know, I'm grateful that George Michael did the Freddie Mercury tribute concert and did one of the best renditions of Somebody to Love I've ever heard. I'm grateful for all that stuff, because it adds something to my life, and I know it adds something to your life. You know, so you have the memories, so hang on to them, you know, and celebrate and have some fun with it. You can. It's not in bad taste. Someday, one day, someone's going to look at you, and you're going to die, and they're going to remember you. I would like to think that when it's my time, you know, I would like to think that someone might play one of my songs and laugh over a bunch of drinks about all the crazy stuff that you and I did together, or whoever I, you know, happen to know. Celebrate. It's okay. It's okay to have fun. Don't take the negative attitude from now and drag it into next year, because next year is going to be shitty too. By the way, you know, we have a new president coming up, all right? His inauguration's in a few days. That is infinitely worse. So hang in there, guys. Life gets better, you know. 2016 sucked for me. Brain pain, back pain, kidney stones. Or did it suck? I took a trip across the country. I've connected with so many people because of this silly broadcast. And it's so cool to meet people from all walks of life and in different countries and stuff, and I'm really grateful for it. You know, I still associate with some of the guys in the 501st, and I'm grateful for that. There's so much to be thankful for, you know, and it's just a moment. You have to, just a fleeting moment, acknowledge the cool stuff, and then get some more cool stuff. Create awesomeness. Never expect it. Create it. That's all for now. I've rambled on long enough, and I need to eat dinner because, you know, I need to get fatter. So take care, guys. If you didn't get to watch it live, you can watch the replay. No problem. It'll be on probably within the next 10 minutes. And again, there's that contest. Win that Force Awakens poster signed by the very guy that created it. Cheers. I love you guys. Thank you. And another broadcast soon. Okay? Take care.